Welcome to this, our third installment in our Knowing Your Rights in Terms of Your Employment Agreement series. I'm Annaline from Debt Rescue, and joining me today to talk about restraints of trades in your employment agreement is Ewan Simmons from Cynical Simmons, a corporate lawyer who's going to tell us a bit more about restraint of trade agreements in your employment agreement. Hi Ewan, thank you very much for joining me.
Hi, Annalie.
Please tell us more about restraint of trade agreements.
A restraint of trade is a contractual provision in an employment contract which potentially limits an individual's rights in respect of future employment.
So are all restraint of trade clauses enforceable, and under which circumstances would they not be enforceable?
Not all restraint of trade clauses are enforceable. You need to look at it on a case-by-case basis. Restraint of trade clauses are enforceable where an employer has a right that is capable of protection in terms of the law. If there's no right that's capable of protection, then an employer cannot simply stop a person from earning a living by working for a competitive employer.
So let's say Peter works for ABC debt counselors in Midrand. He decides to resign. He's going to take up employment with XYZ debt counselors in Centurion. So in his current employment contract, he's got a restraint of trade, and it says he's not allowed to work for a competitor in the Gauteng region for the next year. If he has no intention of taking any clients with him, he's just going to go and do his job as a debt counselor at this new business. Would a restraint of trade prevent him from taking up this employment? Would it prohibit him?
So the short answer is that restraint would not be enforceable and Peter could take up his employment. The reason for that is that there's nothing that the old employer can protect, and because Peter's new employment is not interfering with all of that, he is free to take up that employment even though it is with a competitor employer.
So some employment agreements even contain clauses where there's a monetary penalty in the event that you were to take up employment with a competitor. Is such a monetary penalty even enforceable?
It's not enforceable as long as you are not interfering in the business of your old employer.
So should someone consider taking up employment with a competitor and they currently do have a contract that has a restraint of trade clause in it, what would the best advice be for them to see if this restraint of trade is enforceable and if they are risking any liability?
The best option would be to seek legal advice by considering the contract of employment and the circumstances of the employee. An attorney will be able to provide advice on whether the restraint is enforceable, alternatively, which provisions are unenforceable and can be ignored.
Ewan, how can people get hold of you if they need any legal advice when it comes to labor agreements and their contracts?
The easiest way to reach me is by email. You can send me a copy of your employment contract with your query, and my email address is ewan@sesi.co.za.
Thank you, Ewan. It was very insightful to learn that, a lot of times you do have a situation where an employer would include a restraint of trade clause in your employment contract merely as a scare tactic to prevent you to go and work for a competitor. And then obviously that most of the times or often that these are completely not enforceable. And knowing that people, specifically employees, have rights whereby they're able to go and join their competitors.
Thanks, Annalie.
People who cannot afford the services of an attorney can always contact a law clinic for free legal advice. Please see on screen and in the links below the contact details for Cynical Simmons attorneys, as well as the law clinics in Gauteng as well as the Western Cape. Until next time, be informed and know your rights.